Okay, so to recap, we just had gotten Elliot and Rapunzel from the tower, and the move is to go to Snow's castle to get Elliot's heart back so that he can traverse the plains and get back to real Everas. And you had just exited the tower. You're getting ready to head into the forest. Sound about right?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
That sounds right to me.
Okay, so no resting.
Wait, hold on. I was asking if that was right. That's what I remember.
I thought we were gonna do that, but then we started like Elliot's like, no, we should go tomorrow morning and rest because we're kind of beat up.
Oh,
I'm at least beat up.
that sounds about right. That's right. Well, we'll say everyone gets their rest.
Okay.
Um, so you can take that as well. We can do a long rest for everyone, so everyone's fresh and healed.
God,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Okay.
Okay, so the following day um, comes as everyone's rested up, breakfast ate, everything's packed up, and you head out of the tower and down into the forest. You're starting to see that this really isn't the Everest that you were familiar with. That it's like almost a warped version of itself. The trees are dark and twisted and gnarled, and the grass seems almost like purplish and dark. Um, Darkness has really taken over this void, basically, of Everos. Elliot gathers some flowers that were wildflowers that were growing in the forest, and he looks at you guys and he says, "Does anyone have any leather straps or strips of leather?"
Guess we could rip some off of my clothes.
I have my old leather armor with me still.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. I'll need at least six strips.
Elowen will take her old leather armor out of her bag of holding, and she starts using, she looks around, she's like, does anybody have a knife I could borrow?
Thal does. She
And
whips out a little dagger.
thanks! And she takes it and she starts making strips. She looks at Elliot, what are you making this for?
We'll need a way to traverse the forest and get to the castle quickly. And since I can't portal here, I'm gonna summon some nightmares.
Wait,
You're
what?
gonna, what?
Horses made of, dreams. Nightmares, mares, horses.
Oh, this still sounds really scary, Mr. Elliot.
Well, they can be, but this is about the only thing I can summon right now.
I
Okay.
thought that's what you were calling the dreamless. Yeah, here. And she hands the,
The dreamless, not Tamara.
Not tomorrow.
not Tamara.
Yes. It's old Arendelian speak. They had dealt with dreams and nightmares before, in their assorted past. And when I was there, I was reading up books on them. And Natamara is what they called them. So, but of course, we can still call them the Dreamless. He takes the leather straps, and he combines the flowers, and then it glows, and six black horses with manes of like shimmering purple hair and glowing red, fiery looking eyes appear. Um, and the leather straps turn into like saddles and bridles and things like that for us all to use. Um, he hops up on one. You can see that he's kind of weak. It takes a moment for him to like get up, trying to take care of himself. But he offers each of you a horse to get on.
Bailey will get on one of the horses.
We'll pat it, like we'll pet it and be like, "Oh, you're such a good little horsey," and then get up on her horse.
Thal is really timid and probably gets on the horse backwards. Let's get down and do it again.
Lucan's gonna watch Thal, kind of like wondering if she's gonna need some help, and then when he sees that she gets on, he's gonna get on his horse.
So Elliot and Rapunzel, they take the front as you start kind of trotting off through the forest. Nothing too fast. I'm still being cautious as you all take heed. You're traversing for a little bit and everyone's quiet, you know, just kind of taking in the surroundings and trying to process everything that's gone on. And Elliot slows down as the path gets a little thicker, and he turns and he says, I'm sure you're wondering a lot and have many questions. We can take this time to go over anything you might not understand, and then I can explain all I know.
Lots of questions.
Mhm.
She's like on her horse, like gripping it, like not riding it like everybody else. She's like holding it. Terrified.
Well, now's your time before we get to the castle.
So, you said before the princesses, not Mara's, are here? Or is just Rapunzel's not Mara?
The only one that I've come across is Rapunzel's.
So when Maleficent or Obsidious, who knows who, did that thing, I don't know, they're not right, and they're not here, right?
Their animas had to have gone someplace. An anima is like an avatar you use when you enter the dream world. That way, when you fall asleep, your anima appears anywhere on the dream plane. So, you do all have counterparts of yourselves, but you all, since you're here, you are using your animas. That means you, if you die, so does your anima. And if your anima dies, you will die as well. That's because your corporeal form is here as well. You're sharing the same body. Me, I'm just an anima, as well as Rapunzel. So if we die here, we'll return to our bodies, but that doesn't mean we'll have control.
Right.
That's why when you wake up from nightmares, your body is still fine in the real world. But because you are real and actually on this plane, it's even that more dangerous.
Okay. So,
So, how
don't die.
did Obsidious lock you here
I
and
figured
take over your body?
when I was originally dreaming, and when I was trying to get Archer back from the mirror, Obsidious latched onto the other villain's curse. The villains and Obsidious were not working together. Obsidious found a loophole in Evelyn's curse, and he was able to attach himself. And the only way to attach himself and enter this world was to take over my body. When Evelyn had me preserved, Obsidious was lying inside of it. I'm sure that's why you haven't seen him often. It's because he's been planning this whole time. And if he was inside my body, I was not able to return. And since Snow White took my heart and kept it in her castle, I was not able to traverse the plains through the Well of Worlds.
Now, why did Snow White take your heart? How did your heart end up in her castle?
Well, Snow White, when she came here, she was corrupted. It's her anima, her dark form. And the only way to take on what she had darkness, she latched onto the villain of her story, the evil queen. And as if I remember correctly, you guys had a run-in with her when you first came to the story worlds. I was
did.
there. I saw it, but I was unable to reach you. Obsidious had me under his control. And the way he was able to do so is because I used something called Dreamlight. When everyone entered the world gate originally, they had places to go. So I crafted worlds for them, story realms that we call them, so they could live out their stories in happily ever afters. Well, that Dreamlight is what is used to create those worlds. And with the Dreamlight, Obsidious has been able to traverse those worlds and corrupt them. That's why he's so powerful. If he has control of the Dreamlight, he has control of the worlds.
Can you see through your actual corporal body right now?
No,
So you have no clue what's been happening at all?
only tidbits and things that Obsidious would share with me when time was right. He tortured me. He made me watch you all die over and over again.
Well, some of those might have been real.
I do remember that happening.
Sorry.
It's okay. We all make mistakes. We're in one of mine now. This is all my fault.
Not really your fault. I mean,
No, I don't need you comforting me. I've made peace with it. If I had listened to Sapphiria and listened to her woes, this all could have been avoided. But I was just trying to correct my wrongs. But I was too stubborn. I didn't want to listen to her. And now, we're in this mess. But I have a plan. And it's not going to be an easy one. In order to stop Obsidious, we have to turn off the Dreamlight.
What
That
will
mean-
that do?
All of the storybook worlds are going to go gone.
Yes. And if we remove the Dreamlight, Everas will become unstable and has a possibility of going away for good.
What do you mean, Everas?
The world itself.
So we would all just die.
I don't know if we would die, but we would not be the same.
I don't like that.
There has to be a different way.
There is no other way. Obsidious is too powerful with dream magic. He can control reality.
Here, but not there.
No, there too now. He's in my body.
But he can't do magic.
Really?
Really? Well,
Well,
he says he can't.
this is a plus. But what worries me is that he's partnered with Maleficent. And she can do magic.
Oh boy.
And it's really bad that he has raised your station. And you're going to be king.
What?
Yeah, you kind of got betrothed
To who?
by Prince Chadwick?
That good for nothing prince. I want nothing to do with him.
Well, you said yes. You kind of did it in front of this whole guardian ceremony you had held for yourself, actually.
Great.
And all of Everest now knows that you're kind of back.
Well, I thought I would have at least that to go back to, but there's a chance that Everas will stay the same. But there's also the chance that Everas will fall.
So, like, what kind of odds are we talking about? Like 50-50 or like 90-10?
It's unstable. Dreamlight magic can only be controlled by a god or something equivalent. When I became the guardian and had the ability of the phoenix, that gave me powers I had no idea we even existed. That's what allowed me to create the dream or the story worlds.
You're still a phoenix.
Yes, that's true. But how many times can a phoenix be resurrected?
Don't know. I
So
know.
you need to die again.
And I could be gone for good. There's no saying that I will. Or that I would even be myself.
Could we talk to the gods, Yuna or Oknos? We found out Oknos isn't what we all thought he was.
You read the Tome of Dark Forces.
Yeah, and she kind of pats it on the side of her.
I'm glad you found that. I had placed a memory spell inside of that, so you should have seen what had happened. That's how I found about the 3 pillars. The ones that Yuna and Oknos destroyed, and Obsidious still reigns with his. That pillar is what's going to allow him to take over Everas, make everyone sleep, and he will consume for the rest of eternity. Until there is nothing left. Is that an Everas you want to go back to? So now you understand how dangerous this is and why it is important that we have to rid him of his magic by getting rid of Dreamlight.
Why don't we just go and destroy his pillar and not destroy Dreamlight?
The pillar cannot be destroyed, only cleansed. And the cleansing can only be happen to someone part of his story.
You're part of his story.
There's one other.
Who?
Sapphiria.
Why is she part of the story?
We're all connected. Me, Sapphiria, and Evelyn. Same as Yuna, Obsidious, and Oknos. In this world, we are their counterparts.
Wait. What?
Yuna has chosen me as her counterpart.
Okay.
That leaves 2 others. Evelyn and Sapphiria.
And who's Evelyn?
I don't wish it to be true, but from what I've learned, she's somehow connected with Obsidious. When she originally cast her curse and brought forth Oknos, she was tied to him.
Okay. So what Mal said about Sapphiria was true, then.
That Sapphiria is the child of Oknos.
It's unfortunate.
Well, it is if we didn't understand what was actually going on. But I have always trusted Sapphiria. She's my best friend. I know she'll do the right thing.
How though? If she's evil, right? Doesn't that make her evil?
No,
Not necessarily. Oknos isn't technically evil, only until Obsidious took over him.
It's true.
and if Oknos was not able to get rid of Obsidious, how am I supposed to get rid of him? We have to turn off the Dreamlight. Trust me. It's like I've lived 1,000 years being in the void here. I've mulled over it. If there's a chance that Everas will survive, I'm willing to take it.
So you being here, you saw glimpses of us. Did it teach you anything else? Anything that helped?
All I've gathered so far. Once we have gotten my heart back, we'll need to travel to the Well of the Worlds. It will allow us to transfer back over to Everas. We won't be able to portal from here.
Okay. Is that how Sapphiria got in here before? From the
Possible.
well?
But when you use the Well of the Worlds, you have to sacrifice something. And I don't mean gold. I don't mean food. I don't mean an arm or a head. I mean something that means something to you.
Okay.
We have to make that sacrifice
Who?
of us.
Anyone who enters the Well of the Worlds.
Scary.
What kind of thing would someone sacrifice?
Memories of a loved one. Pride. Something that's dear to you.
Oh. I don't know. I don't know what I have to give up anymore.
Well, we have time before we get there.
Right.
Is there any other
So-
things you want to go over? That now is your only chance that we might get.
So, this Dreamlight.
Yes.
Some princesses are still in their story realms. Not everyone has been brought back to Everas.
Right. But anyone in those story realms will return to Everas or wherever they're from.
Okay. And then they'll live out the rest of their lives, and then they're done.
Yes. They will no
Okay.
longer be timeless.
Okay.
And that's just saying if everything goes right. Which frequently doesn't happen.
Well, what's that saying that the pirates used to say? A smooth sea never made a skilled sailor.
True.
That's true, but there has to be some sure way that when we destroy the Dreamlight, that Everest is anchored. I don't know. I'm not maybe saying the right word.
No, Ellen, you're onto something. An anchor, like a pillar of Everos.
Its own. Something to keep it in place while that sort of magic fades. It would be our clause in a contract of this. It would be insurance, a backup, just in case if the Dreamlight does try to destroy Everos. We have that in place to make sure it doesn't happen.
Pillars can only be created by those chosen by gods. That means Evelyn, Sapphiria, and I will be the ones to create them.
Create a fourth, like a world soul, or combine them to create a world soul as the
Possibility.
anchor.
But who would be the Speaker of Everos?
I don't know.
Well, first things first. You're right. We have to get the heart, and then the well, and then once we get back into Everos, we can cleanse all the pillars, and then create a pillar of our own for Everos.
Yes. You're
Can
right.
we expect it snows?
I have a plan. So you have to be with me 100%.
Always.
You
We
are
are.
all going to be posing as weapons dealers for the queen. That will get you into the castle. You will
Should
meet.
like
Your ploy is that you're meeting with the huntsman. But this is not true. You will stay within the castle. And that is where my heart is, in Snow White's chambers. You will infiltrate it, find the heart, and get it back to me. I cannot enter the castle. I will be on the sidelines with Rapunzel and Evelyn. It'll be up to you to infiltrate the castle, find my heart, and bring it back. My heart should be somewhere cold, the coldest place in her chambers,
why?
to keep it preserved.
What? What was? This sounds kind of dark and evil, but why haven't they destroyed your heart? Is it too strong?
I don't know. They might have, but I feel like I would have felt it if they have. It's possible they could be using it for something.
Okay. Well,
And
you are
also,
like,
if
Could be something
Obsidious,
that tethers Obsidious here because he's locked onto your corporal form.
exactly. You're right, Ellen.
I've learned a lot.
Yes, you have. I'm very proud of you.
Thanks.
Oh, it'll be up to you guys to get this taken care of. The snow and the rest, they should not be in the castle. I've made sure of that.
good, because she's kind of pretty freaking scary.
Okay. Here. And Elliot gives each of you a vial with a glowing purple crystal on the inside of it. Those are glamours. They are the most top tier glamours that I've ever seen created. They should have no problem getting you into the castle and keeping you safe with your disguises. You'll still look like each other to those who have drinking the elixir.
How long do they last?
Until you say no.
So don't say the word no.
No. Until you're ready. Until you say, I'm done with my glamour.
Okay. So we can say no. That's good.
Yes.
Okay. Really, really nervous about this whole thing.
Me too. And Evelyn, she finally speaks up and she's like, yes, me as well. And I don't get nervous for much. But if what Eliot says is true, I believe him. And I stand behind you. Is there anything else? The castle's coming up in the distance.
They'll know once you have your heart.
Don't worry. We'll be connected through your minds. It's like we be able to talk to you as if we're right there. Don't worry. I won't be able to read your thoughts or anything like that. But when you need to communicate with me, don't worry. I'll be there. And so will Rapunzel, and so will Evelyn. We'll be your
Good.
eyes and ears.
Okay. That's a little bit more reassuring because I was walking to a random castle, not knowing where to go. Okay. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we need to ask you before we go in.
If not, I'll be in your minds.
Okay.
You guys slowly approach the village that you remember from before. The one that you had originally gone on to, with the snow and where Ruby was, and the tavern with the dwarves. The woman that was selling the candied apples, in the guards that took away the villagers up to the castle. You all stop off, and get off your horses, and as you get off them, they kind of dissipate and disappear. And Elliot looks at you all and says, "We're gonna be in the tavern, on the top floor, in the only room that's up there. Find us when you're done. The castle's just up that road." And he points into the distance where a foggy gate leads up to the castle upon the hill, with its dark turrets and crows and bats coming in and out, flying. He gives each of
Foreboding.
you a hug, and Rapunzel does the same, and Evelyn just shakes your hands. And she says, "Good luck."
That will hug her in anyway.
She gives her a pat on the back. The three of them enter the tavern, and Elliot's in the back, and he puts his arm up on the door frame and kind of turns to you and just nods his head before closing the tavern door, leaving you all to yourselves.
Well, that was a little much.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good thing he's not going because He doesn't look so great compared to what we just saw Elliot as. His body, I guess.
We said it's
Yeah.
felt like 1,000 years in here.
Looks like it.
Well, we should probably take our glamours now before any of the guards up there see us.
Right.
So, I hope this doesn't taste horrible.
I'm about to say the same thing.
And
Right.
she
1, 2,
clings.
3. Did it taste
You have a-
terrible?
What?
Did it taste terrible?
What?
Our drinks, our glamours.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about my drink. I was like, no.
Did it taste terrible?
It kind of tasted like cotton candy mixed with like iron.
It's not the
Interesting.
grossest thing I've
It's almost like blood.
right.
Why do you know that?
Haven't you ever bit your tongue before?
Yeah, I suppose.
All right. You all head up to the castle.
Yeah.
All right. Um, you head up to the castle, and the front gates, the gates open for you as the iron like clanks, and that rusty kind of sound echoes throughout the night. And you head up towards the castle, and you come to this large front black oak door with black armored guards standing on either end. And you can see in the turrets and in the catwalks that there are more guards patrolling as crows and bats circle the high tops. And once you get to the front, um, a guard stops you, but you hear in your voice, in your heads, Elliot says, "You're here to meet the huntsman. Don't forget, he's a army general for the queen. You have papers in your bags. I've provided them for you for any type of identification or documentation. Just tell him you're here to meet the huntsman, and all will be fine." um the guard stops you and says, "Halt, Huga.
We're here to meet the huntsman.
You have an appointment with him.
Yes.
Yes. Bailey
Who
will
are you all?"
Bailey will pull the papers out of her bag. We're weapons dealers. We work with him.
He looks them over. Everything's in check. You may go inside.
Thank you, sir.
He pounds on the door, and the oak doors open to reveal this magnificent entryway with a large, grandiose staircase in the front. If nothing more beautiful, it is haunting. Tapestries of the Queen's emblem banner the walls. Um, Candelabras and candles light the walkways, and standing at the base of the stairs is a woman in very noble looking outfits and things like that. um, and she says, "Welcome to the Queen's Castle. State your business."
We're here to meet the huntsman.
"Of course. Just a moment, please. Your papers?" She takes each of your papers and she says, "Ah, yes, perfect. Let me see. I will go ahead and notify the huntsman now of your arrival. Would you like this?" And um, you hear Ellie go, "No, not part of the plan. Stall her."
Um, I mean, okay, we will have a tour too. Like, this place is kind of really beautiful. Like, what are those tapestries made out of?
But the huntsman is expecting you?
I believe our appointment
No?
with him was tomorrow. We were told we would have lodging here for the night.
Okay. I understand. Your rooms, if you'd like, are just down this wing. You may stay there, and I will let you meet the huntsman when you need to.
Thank you. I know he's a very busy man, so I believe tomorrow morning was arranged.
Perfect. Well, enjoy your stay in the castle. And don't go wandering in places you do not belong.
Of course. Thank you.
You head up uh, the staircase and onto the wing of which she had told you to go to. You pass more suits of armor and grandiose like portraits and paintings of this woman in wearing a crown that's similar to one that Evelyn wears with a black veil over her face and black elegant gown and black gloves. You're starting to get the motif, and you remember that that is what Snow White looks like in this story realm, dream nightmare realm. You finally find your room, that she had pointed you in the direction of, but you have every opportunity to do whatever you want.
We should find the coldest place, like Mr. Elliot said.
It's in
Maybe we
her
should
chambers.
give it a few minutes just to avoid suspicion. Let things simmer down.
I was kind of thinking the same thing. Maybe we should kind of head to the room, make it sound like we go into the room, be a little bit sneakier coming back out.
Well, you think we should all go? We're going to attract a lot of attention.
Yes, you should all go. Stay together. You're safer that way.
Let's make it to the rooms.
You head into your room and you see it's a very grandiose suite with window views of the village below, and the murky mist and clouds almost makes you feel like you are up into the clouds of the realm. Um, there are beds, and there's a kitchenette, a large fireplace that's very ornate and gothic. Um, Even though the fireplace is running, there's still a cold chill to the air.
Well, this whole place is kind of cold, so finding the cold's gonna be a little bit hard. And I'm not used to feeling cold, uh, at all.
You just gotta make sure you bundle up.
Humans are weird.
I'm sorry.
I'm
She
not
looks
even
at Lucan.
sure. I'm not even sure that this kind of cold is something you can bundle up against.
All right.
The queen is out. There's no word on her whereabouts in the castle. If you're going to do this, now is your chance.
Do you know where her room is or which way we should head?
Head back out of that hallway and take the staircase next to the suit of armor, where there's a plant in a purple pot. Take that staircase all the way up to the highest tower. She will have chambers there. It is unlocked.
Okay. You guys ready?
Yeah, let's be really quiet leaving so they think we're still in our room.
Mhm.
Okay, let's do it.
Everyone
Make it
roll a
look
stealth
like
check.
we're in here still.
Mm-hmm. Do you like ruffle the bed like and just kind of make it look like you've been in there or something, or
Yeah, like I don't know, leave the light on,
sure,
like
Stuff some
kind of,
not make
pillows
it.
under the blanket.
yeah, sure. We'll say that
We
you guys
were
do that.
really tired.
What did everyone get?
16.
27.
24.
18.
Okay. you all managed to leave your rooms. It looked like it had been occupied. And you follow Elliot's directions down the hall, past the suit of armor with the purple potted plant, and head up the staircase. It's a spiraling, narrow staircase, but eventually you come to a landing at the top of the castle, and you see the door to the chambers of the queen. What do you do?
It's not trapped. He said it was open, right?
Yes,
Okay.
the door's unlocked.
We just barge in.
Yeah, she's not there. Thou will open the door.
The
Really
door
quietly.
opened to reveal an enormous suite, where there is a dining room entertainment space, a lounge chairs like a parlor. You see her bed that is done up in drapery, and it's a four-poster bed. And then you see kind of against the wall, there is a giant looking mirror that reflects the room. That's kind of like jutted out from the wall, so it looks like there uh, is like a tower or something. Um, and over off to the left hand of the suite, you see kind of just a blank, empty space that looks like it doesn't belong.
Well, my two guesses are it's in the mirror or in that weird room.
I'm gonna go
Not
over
looking
and
in
check
some
out.
strange mirror again. That's how we got ourselves into this whole
Mess. Right. So strange, creepy room it is.
Um, you go into the side room where there's nothing in this room at all. It feels very weird, but it sends a shiver down your spine.
And Thal casts detect magic? Because she's assuming that Elliot's heart is magic.
You can see that there's some type of transmutation magic within the floor.
Oh. She looks down. I think it's down here. And she's trying to figure out a way to open the floor.
So you press down on it, and it's almost like it kind of opens, and the floor opens up forward, and you see a glowing heart suspended in air, um, glowing there in front of you.
It's a little creepy, you guys.
That also seems a little bit too easy.
Okay.
Hey, the castle staff's abuzz. About 200 are on their feet, and they can't keep still.
Okay. Thal will reach out, grab the heart real fast, tuck it into her cloak thingy, capelet.
Shit, the queen's on her way up to her room.
Okay. We need
Evelyn, you hear Evelyn's voice. She goes, "The mirror. You can pull it to the side. There's a secret compartment in there that should fit you all."
Okay. You guys go ahead. I can cast invisibility on myself if needed be.
You might be able to detect that. Elowen goes over to the mirror and see if there's an opening to see if it can open.
Yeah, it like it's like a floor length mirror, and it like slides like a sliding glass door.
Okay.
Hurry,
Everyone come in.
We rush
Evelyn, what
in.
are you doing? And then you hear like communication kind of stop. You all enter into behind the mirror, and it closes behind you, and you can see it's a two-way mirror, so you can see out into the living space, but they cannot see into the she's about to enter her quarters. Are you all safe?
Yeah, we're in the mirror.
Okay. You see um uh Snow White, the queen, enter into the door, followed by this massive looking grotesque huntsman with muscles. I mean, this man is 8 feet tall. He looks powerful and deadly and scary. You see the her the queen step forward, kind of into the seating parlor area where that mirror kind of was, and she's pacing back and forth as the huntsman um, is by the front door, kind of watching the queen. And then she goes and she sits down in front of one of the parlors chairs and starts pouring a drink. And then you hear Ellie go, "Nah, no fucking way. This isn't happening." And then you see Evelyn appear from the window. She comes in down a staircase, and it's kind of hard to. It's very muffled, but it seems like Snow and Evelyn are talking. Um, and the queen, she gets up and she kind of saunters over to Evelyn, and you hear her talking, but you can't make out what they're saying. Um, Elliot in your guys' heads is like, what the fuck is she doing in here?
I don't know. Should we
No,
intervene?
no, no. Stay hidden. The huntsman goes over and starts walking the perimeter of the parlor, and then he stands in front of the mirror and stares into it, and almost as if you can see him like glaring down at you. Um, and he goes, his hand reaches up to the mirror, and then you see Evelyn come from behind him and like start talking to him as well, still unable to hear what they're talking about. And then you see the queen shoo away the huntsman, and he leaves the chambers of the queen. Um, you hear uh finally a brief moment that you're able to catch is Snow White saying, "You couldn't think of anything more original to say, Aunt?" And you can see that the queen gets up and is very like agitated in her movements. It's very um not like calm, as Evelyn might once have been, a very regal, very calm queen, but very direct. Um they are talking back and forth, and they get closer within maybe like 2 feet of each other, and then finally you see uh the queen, Snow White, take a dagger to Evelyn's throat as red liquid starts pouring out of Evelyn's throat and down her front, and then throws her against the mirror as Evelyn starts succumbing to her mortal wounds, and she slumps forward down against the mirror. And you see the queen raise her veil, and you see this horrible looking old haggard appearance of Snow White. And she looks at the mirror, and she like wipes away the blood on her hands in front of her. And then you see Evelyn's dead body on the floor in a pool of her own blood. And then you see the queen start to go back and like pacing, and then finally she exits her chambers.
Evelyn
Thal? Oh, sorry.
quickly shoves the mirror open, and she topples out, and she looks at Evelyn, and she tries to grab a pulse. Is she able to find one at all?
Full medicine.
Thal
I
is like
just
crying over her body right now,
oh,
like,
wrong
no,
one.
no, 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 no. And she's like, Mr. Elliot, we have a problem.
And
Just
there's
sobbing.
no connection. It's like he's been severed.
15.
You go to reach her pulse as what you've been trained on, but you don't feel anything as her cold, lifeless body. And then you start to see her fingertips start to turn black as they turn to ash and smoke. And
She's gonna cast Spare the Dying.
your
Trying.
magic radiates through you, but you feel the magic get repulsed from her body. You
Let me
finally get the
try.
you finally get the connection back to Elliot. He's like, "Are you there? Are you there? What happened?"
He killed Aunt Evelyn.
What?
She's dead.
Elowen closes her eyes. She takes a deep breath. And with all of her might, she knows that they need Evelyn in order to cleanse the pillars, everything. She is a part of the plan. She can't die on us. And
Elowen,
she casts
save your magic.
reincarnate. What?
Save your magic.
Why?
That's only her anima. She's still in Everas.
But she got poofed here with us.
Her anima did. I knew it. I should have known. Her corporal body would not turn to ash and smoke. I can see it.
We need to keep moving.
My heart doesn't have much longer to last. If it doesn't stay cold, it will die too.
Well, hey, give me. Oh, I can't put it in. I can't put it in my bag of holding. But you can't put it against your body, Thal.
Okay,
Put
that's
it.
right. I'm human now. And she's gonna cast shape water, but put ice, like an ice form around it.
Okay.
So
You're
I
not going to
don't
be
think.
able to go out through the castle the same way you did. Go in the way Evelyn did. Through the window.
Okay.
You guys, do we like jump?
You turn and see that Evelyns Anima body has crumpled and turned to black and smoke ash. And then you go to the window and you see that there is a ladder um, that trails down to the outskirts of the castle, leading you down into the village below.
Why would a queen, such a powerful queen, have a ladder right to her window?
Maybe Evelyn put it there.
When you go to touch it, you see that it is a magical ladder. Hurry, you don't have much time before her magic goes away.
Okay. That will do her best to scamper down the stairs.
You climb down the staircase and head off to the village. Um, and then you end up at the bottom of the castle where you're starting to see soldiers running and moving all around the castle as a bell tolls in the cathedral church.
We can't go out the front gate. There has to be a way through the gate, or through the fence. There has to be some place that we can go through, over, under, quick this way, away from the guards.
If we drop our things, they won't know it's us, though, right?
Yeah, but then they'll question us for being on the castle grounds.
Okay.
All right, so you find a pathway around the outskirts of the castle walls, and you move through before eventually getting down into the village, and you head towards the tavern. You make your way to where Elliot said he was, and you see Rapunzel and Elliot in the top room, and they're both sitting on the beds. Candles are like lit all around. And you kind of feel the smell of magic in the air um, before it dissipates, and you all see each other again. And Elliot looks at you. My heart, where is it?
I will pull it out and with shaky hands hand it to him. Still kind of crying a little bit.
Thank you. And he dissolves the water around it and then places it into his chest. And you kind of see like a little bit of color and life turn back to Elliot as he starts to kind of get back into like a normal sense. He's still got some bruises and scarring and wounds that don't heal automatically, but he seems to be a lot better now. And he looks at you and he says, "Are you all safe?"
Yeah. Yeah. How did Evelyn come here with us without being transported like us?
I don't know. Maybe it's part of Obsidious' plan. I, I don't know. But the good news is that if she's still alive, she's back on Everas.
That doesn't mean she's working for him, does she?
No.
Does it? Okay. Glamour,
Yeah.
I'm done. And Elowen sits down, forgetting that she was glamored, and she sits down on one of the beds and she rubs her eyes.
I'm done being glamored. And Bailey will sit down too.
I'm
So
being
now
glamored.
we go to the well.
I wish she would have told us.
She might have wanted to keep that secret, just in case something like this did happen. She's always been good at secrets. But
I
Rapunzel,
would.
go ahead, show them what you remembered. And she looks and she says, "Here, take bits of my hair." And you all take bits of her golden hair, and Elliot does too. And then she starts singing. She says, "Flower gleam and glow, let your power shine. Make the clock reverse, bring back what once was mine. Heal what has been hurt, change the fate's design. Save what has been lost, bring back what once was mine. What once was mine." And you feel like warm. You feel that warmth and glow of when you saw Elliot for the first time, and kind of start to get hope back into your eyes. And Rapunzel's like, "I remembered it. It was like as soon as you touched the heart, I remembered it."
Like we're cracking the curse
Little by
one by
little.
piece. Yes.
Do you think that's why Snow stabbed Evelyn?
Maybe. Maybe she didn't know, or maybe she did. But that does mean one thing, that Evelyn cannot return to us here, ever. Her anima is gone.
We won't be able to even dream.
No.
Awful. Okay. Sure, we had it hard enough.
She'll pull through. As long as we're by her side, she'll pull through.
So they're all like searching for us, I think, Mr. Elliot. How do we get out of here?
We'll need to head to the well of the worlds next.
How
Come.
far is that?
It's going to be some time, but with those nightmares for us, we'll get there quickly. Come, hurry. And you all head back outside, to the um, to the outside of the tavern, and you each hold on to your strips of leather, and you summon your dark horses, um, and they appear in front of you, um, and then you all head off into the forest again. Um, Elliot leads you down through dark groves and twisted trees and timbers and things like that, um, before eventually feeling safe and far enough away from that area. You kind of all slow down to a bit of a trot, and head down the forest path. Is everyone feeling okay?
Yes, just a bit of nervous jitters.
Yeah, just a little shaken.
You all thought of something you're willing to sacrifice?
Oh dear.
I don't have much.
Can't be an object. Has to be something of you. Immaterial.
Bailey, I think something that would count as Mia.
I won't do that.
Then you won't be able to traverse back to Everas and see her again.
There has to be something else.
What other tie is above Mia?
Didn't say it had to be the most important thing.
It does.
How am I supposed to sacrifice that? What does that mean?
You can sacrifice your memories of her. But that doesn't mean that she goes away.
What will that matter? Not. I won't do that.
Well, if you can think of something more than that, it's not much farther now.
I was going to forget my mother. My tie to the Abori people.
If you do so, there will be nothing you learned from them, nothing you've gathered, nothing you've gained. It will go away. But that doesn't mean you can't rekindle that and remember eventually. It's just up ahead.
Will I forget my magic?
I don't know.
If I'm no longer a mermaid, can I still give up my fin in reality, or do I have to give up a memory of my family too?
It doesn't just have to be a memory. But I would say that it's up to the well if it accepts what you give. Eventually, you come to a small clearing where you see a giant well fountain in the center with glowing blue magic and fireflies or wisps of magic emanating from it. Um, and you all kind of gather around and you dissipate your horses. And then Elliot like goes over and like brushes away the vines and debris of the well, and you see in old writing the well of the worlds.
I like this. I know we have to do it.
Elliot, I have a question.
Of course.
Do I give up my adoptive mother, memories, or of Talib? What do you think the well would most accept?
Well, no, I don't know who's more important to you. If they both were dying, who would you save?
Talib?
He's the one you should choose. I call upon the power well of the worlds to bring us home. And you see a spectral figure of a woman appear from the well. She's beautiful, long flowing hair and brilliant skin. And she extends both of her arms and she says, "And what will you give to return home?" Are you all ready?
I think so.
Spirit of the well, I give I give you Sapphiria high magic. Relinquish me of our memories, of our bonds, our friendship, for I hold them most dear to my heart. For as if that is what you wish, you may enter the well. And Elliot looks back and says, "See you on the other side." And he jumps down into the well. Rapunzel looks forward at you all and says, "Well, my journey's here ends. I'll be here. If I ever see you again, it'll be a good face to see."
Maybe
It's
meet
good to
again.
meet you.
It was good to meet you all too. And then she rides off into the forest on her horse. Now, who comes forward next?
Lucan will step forward.
What is that you wish to give to return home?
My brother, memories of my brother. Without him, I wouldn't be who I am.
Or as that is what you wish, you may enter the well.
He's just gonna step up to the side. Not even take a look back at you guys and just jump in.
Who is next to return home?
Thal step forward. It's like collecting like the last bits of her like memories of what she's giving up. And she's like, okay, I hope this works. I give up the memories of my sister. I hope that's enough.
Or as that is what you wish, you may enter the well.
She thinks about her sister one last time before stepping through.
Who is next?
Steps up. Her hands are kind of shaking, and she has tears in her eyes, and she says, I'll give up my memories of my dearest friend, Talib."
Or if that is what you wish, you may enter the well and return home.
Talib, may we meet again, and you remind me of everything we've been through together. And she closes her eyes and then jumps in the well.
That leaves only you. Will you be entering the well?
Yes.
Or what memories?
Baili steps forward, holding herself, with her arms wrapped around herself, and thinking about how brave all of her friends are. I will give up my memories of the only person I've ever loved. I'll give up my memories of Mia.
Or as that is what you wish, you may not enter the well.
What?
Your power between Mia and yourself is far too much to withstand your severance from this world. Because Mia has already claimed those memories.
What does that mean?
Your counterpart has given up her memories to return home to find you. She was here. If you give up your memories of Mia, there is no chance of remembering her once again. Once you return home, you will need to rekindle your friendship and love for her. She truly loves you. And for that, I cannot take that away from you. I offer you this in its place. Take down the syndicate.
Okay. And she wipes a tear from her eye and nods. I can do that.
But there is something I do require of yours.
Okay.
Your sword.
Oh. Okay.
Place the sword into the bucket next to me.
She'll take her sword off her back and put it in the bucket, shaking a little bit.
You have claimed many a soul with this sword. I shall set them free. And you see souls dissipate from the sword, and it dematerializes in front of you. You may now enter the wells and return home.
Thank you.
Yes. Your story is yet to be done. Good luck. And she dissipates.
He takes a deep breath and steps into the water.
You feel yourself submerged into the icy cold waters of the well, and you see bits and pieces of memories and magic and realms that you couldn't even possibly have thought of in your wildest of dreams. Magical castles and fairy forests and things before eventually you all wind up harborside on a small little hamlet called Canonbury Bay. You see the dark waters of Canonbury Bay in the town just not far from here, a few miles off the shore. The stars are bright, the moon is high in the sky, and you see, just on the cliffside, the tavern of which where you started your journey. There is a light on inside the house, with smoke coming out of its chimney. Eliot is not with you.
Thal's like wiping her face and she doesn't remember why she's crying, but she knew it was something important. And she feels a little empty. And she's like, okay, well, that was a lot. Evelyn's somewhere here, and so is Eliot. We should find him.
I don't know where he could possibly be.
Would he go back to his body?
Or there's an internal struggle between him and Obsidious right now, fighting over their mind.
And he's all alone.
Well, we would have to find him. We have to make it back to the capital.
Yeah.
But first stop is that tavern.
Is everybody else okay?
Baili looks troubled, but she's not crying. Yeah. We're gonna be alright.
You say that, but doesn't feel like it.
It'll just feel empty for a little while. At least that's what I'm hoping.
Lucan?
He just kind of like just is staring at the ground, and he kind of like runs his hands like through his hair, and he kind of like grumbles, but like nothing really intelligent. And you can kind of see like like the wheels turning. There's a lot of like confusion. He's like irritated, but also like sad and confused, and like he's just grumbling, but like none of it like is comprehensible. And he just kind of looks up and starts walking towards the tavern.
I will follow. She's still just wiping her tears, trying to remember what she forgot. A little trouble, but more concerned about Elliot being alone right now. And I'm crying because of Elliot's
Period,
despair.
yeah.
So,
You head up to the village or the tavern on the cliffside. And you see that there is a warm light on the inside coming and giving a glow to the yard in front. And you enter in, um, and you see a man in a scarf and trench coat. He's sweeping up some debris and cleaning up some of the tables. And he looks at you all and he says, "Oh, sorry, we are closed for the evening." Uh, Wait, don't I know you?
What you
Baili,
have?
Elowen, Lucan, and a new friend.
Actually, Thal.
You don't quite look like yourself, though.
about that, I kind of died and they brought me back in and I turned like this and I'm not even a fish anymore. So I lost being a mermaid and lost something else and I
Oh
don't
dear.
remember.
Well, yeah. Come on, everyone sit down. We've got some vegetable stew brewing, and so how's some nice cider?
That'd be lovely. We've all had a rough bit of a time since we last saw you.
I can quite see that. You all look like hardened adventurers at this point. And he goes back, and you hear him in the kitchen before bringing out a big old pot and some bowls and some goblets and mugs with cider, and fills your glasses up as you all sit down. And um, he takes some fresh bread rolls and some stewed vegetables and pour them into your bowls. And he's like, "All right, so tell Charlie what's been going on, if you don't mind."
The end of the world?
The end of the world.
Twice now?
And just another day in Everos. Am I wrong?
This is more serious.
Hmm. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Is there anything that can be done?
We're trying.
Don't give
Happily,
up.
we were transported back here. You know, it kind of feels like home.
Well, you always have home here. Your room's actually upstairs. I haven't touched them.
Thank you,
Oh,
Charlie.
Of course.
did somebody else come through here at all?
Yeah. Man in the blue cloak. He came through here not too long ago. Well, probably about a week now.
A week?
Yeah. He said he
But
was looking for something.
he didn't say what?
No, but he did leave me this. And he goes over to the mantle where the fireplace is. And he pulls something off of the mantle and brings it back over. And he slides over a golden key. And he says, "Well, that man, he came by. I think he said his name was Eliot. He said, if my friends come by here, to give them this and they'll know exactly what to do with it."
Kinda, yeah, we do. We have to put it in a door, any door, and it transports us to a place.
Well, that's quite a little, nifty little key you got there then.
It's pretty magical. Well, that
Well,
means
I have
he
no
might have
use of it.
magic? Did
Possibly.
he did he seem did he have, like, blue eyes, and was he bruised up a little bit?
Come to think of it, he had very puffy eyes that he had been crying for quite some time. He never didn't have much. I poured him a cup of jasmine tea and some crumpets, but that's about it.
Sounds like
They
Elliot.
looked exactly like we did when we got here.
Come to think of it, yeah, actually, he did.
All right, then that's the real Elliot, not Obsidious.
Obsidious? What's he got to do with anything?
The end of the world.
Everything.
Oh, right. The end of the world. Well, it's just another day in Everas, right? How many times have we entered the world?
Might be for good.
3?
Not possibly good. For the Keepers of Everas. With Elliot back. We can't give up hope now. There's lots of
We
people
haven't
depending on you.
we haven't given up hope. We just know what's ahead. And it's very daunting.
Oh dear. It was quite strange. When I actually gave Elliot that pot of jasmine tea, it almost like a light bulb went off in his head, and he said, "I remember," and that's when he left and gave me the key.
Jasmine
Wait,
tea.
He
Made
did
him
say it was his
remember.
favorite.
should we try jasmine tea? Maybe it'll make us remember whatever we forgot. I don't even know what I forgot. And she starts crying again.
Elwyn like puts an arm around Thal and like hugs her and like rubs her arm and she's like, it'll be okay. I don't remember what I forgot either, but it'll be okay
Unfortunately,
eventually.
I don't have any more jasmine tea. He did take the rest of it. He just kept drinking it.
He really missed it last time we spoke with him. He's been gone for quite a long time, actually. You remember how we were here last time, and he was kind of here. Well, it's been a very long adventure.
Yeah, it's almost been a year now since I've last met you.
Yeah. Wow. Guess that makes sense. We did go home for a bit. All right. So she kind of like touches the key, like roll it around the table anxiously. She's like, should we use this or should we stay? I don't know
I
what to
think
do
we should
anymore.
use it. See it where it takes us and if it doesn't take us to him exactly, we go and find him.
Right. We
Because
can't
that's
do
the
this
only
alone.
way. No, there's no possible way for us to do it alone. So we must find him.
All right.
Well, there's meals on the house, so you don't have to pay me a thing. But any door you need is obviously yours to use.
Are you sure we have money this time?
It's
We
okay.
actually do.
This is for old friends.
Okay. Thank you, Charlie.
Of course. Just
Are you
remember who
okay?
helped you. Oh, I'm absolutely happy.
You sorted your whole situation out with your
Wait, so
family?
Well,
you still have the tavern?
yeah. Turns out Mako was actually cheating on me the whole time we were together as well.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Nah, it's alright. It's good to get rid of all bad things. But yeah, got the house back after they solved the murder, have everything going on, and people actually started coming up here more and more often. The hotel, and actually reopened. They encouraged it. Yeah,
That's good. They bring in people here. That's what they do, right? They bring in people.
yeah. Hotels do that. Well, it's one of the oldest cities in Everos itself. So some say it was the first civilization in all of Everos.
Really?
Curious.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you think the oldest place exactly would be? Like this, would it be the center of town?
Probably the forest in the Garden of Roses.
Thank you.
Of course.
Hmm.
I wouldn't mind seeing what they've done with the anchorage. How they spruced it up.
You might try to
Sure.
find it hard to find a place to stay, as I've been all booked up for the Harvest Festival coming up tomorrow.
Is that the same one with the blood buckets?
Yeah, we don't do those anymore, actually. My mother has not been a peep after we solved the murders of everything going on. Thanks to you. I mean, thanks to you, of course.
You're welcome. She kind of looks at Bailey real fast. Back to Charlie.
Remember, the curses all got broken.
Okay,
Bailey has nothing to worry about anymore.
that's good because I sure did like her.
They did.
Not
Oh,
so sure. I'm looking for a place to stay, really. I mean, we could come back here if we needed a place to stay. I assume I just kind of am interested.
Of course, you're more than welcome to pop by. I'm sure they'd be happy to see you.
So do that right now. I don't even know what time of day it is anymore.
It's closing on midnight now.
Christ.
wait. They probably wouldn't be accepting guests.
Okay. So
But
the key to Elliot or stay?
I think we should do the key. Lucan, you know what? I'll promise you this. After all of this is done, all of us will come back here. We'll sit at this tavern. We'll eat. Stay at the anchorage that we broke into so many times, or the one time. And
We.
Yeah.
sorry, Bailey and we were. I can't believe I did that. Still can't believe that happened. But we'll come back here for a harvest festival, and hopefully all will be right in the world. Okay?
Fair enough.
We've always got a place to stay here.
Charlie, are you sure we can't help you pay for this?
Not at all. Trust me, I'm quite all right.
Well, if you need us, do you have one of the new phones? The new spheres?
Oh, magic tech. Yeah, they came in through town. They tried to set up a shop, but most of us are old timers and not hip to the new magical wave. But I do. I was pressured into one having one, but yes.
Here.
Sure.
And she like does the phone thingy. If you need us, or if something bad happens here, give us a ring.
I will do.
Because you're right, we will remember those who help us.
Well, thank you. Thank you, of course.
Thank you.
Of course.
Well,
And thank you.
we should be off.
Well, good luck on your journeys. I hope you stop the end of the world and all that.
We
You
will
too.
try with all of our might.
What do you do?
So as he's leaving, Lucan is still gonna slide like 3 gold onto the table. I know that's not a lot. He did say, never mind.
All right, so you finish up your drinks and your bellies are full, and then what?
Thal, do you want to do the honors?
Sure. And she'll go to the front door, because it's the closest door, I'm assuming, and put the key in and do the thing. Twist it to open.
The door opens and a glowing golden light shimmers through as you see the other side of Eliot's tower back in the clock tower.
All right. There we go again. And Val steps through.
Everyone else up through?
Yes.
So you enter onto the other side of the oops. The
As she does, she'll say, Mr. Elliot?
and then you see him at his desk poring over a book, and he like looks up and he's like, I wondered when you're going to use that key. Welcome back.
Thanks. I guess it's been a little bit, but we did leave right behind you. It's
Oh,
weird.
timing and other worlds. Very strange, aren't they?
Yeah, I'll say.
Now, I have great news,
That's good.
but I can't tell you about it until you close your eyes.
What?
Close your eyes.
All right.
Thal closes her eyes.
All right. Open them. And on Elliot's desk, you see this. First, it looks like a boulder, a rock of some sort, that has like moss on it and straw coming out of its head. And then you realize that it is some type of troll. And Elliot says, "This is Grandpappy. He hails from the Valley of Living Rock, and he's an expert in magic and memories. You want your memories back?"
Yeah, but we
Feel
don't
like
know what
we're
we forgot.
cheating.
Well, magic always has loopholes. And I could have known that this was going to happen. But of course, if I told you that it was going to happen, it wouldn't have been as sentimental. And I don't think the woman in the well would have listened or accepted any of our answers.
Okay.
Do you get
So-
past her then?
Oh, it was pretty nice. Took a forgetfulness potion before everything all happened back in the tavern before we left.
You're sneaky.
Well, yeah, I learned a thing or two when I hang out with Sapphiria. Oh, reminds me. I remember Sapphiria when I had a drink over at the tavern and Charlie gave me some jasmine tea. It was like it clicked with something. And then I remembered I needed to get Grandpappy. Thankfully, Grandpappy kind of knew what was going on and already met me at the clock tower.
Well, it's very
Maybe-
nice to meet you, Grandpappy.
Well, it's nice to meet you all. Now come close. Let me restore your memories.
Thank you.
Elowen,
Things back.
I restore your memories of Talib, your friendship and bond you have with him. He touches your forehead, and you get all of your memories back.
Thank you.
Of course. Now, who's next?
We'll go forward.
Ah, you've changed quite a bit now, haven't you?
Yeah, I know. Evelyn said she could change me back. I think.
Oh, we don't have to worry about her magic. Grandpappy is one of the oldest forms of magic on this planet. Come, you want to return to a fish, yes?
Well, not actually a fish, a mermaid.
Yes, a mermaid, of course, of course. Now come here, child. And he presses his thumb up against your forehead, and your hair turns back that stark white as your skin turns blue again, and Thal has returned, as well as the memories of your sister Lava.
That will do her little flashy thing. Go white, the blue. She's like, and she runs to the bathroom.
I'll be in there a while.
Understandably so. Now, Lucan, come forth. I'm sure you want your memories back. He presses his thumb up against Lucan's forehead, and your memories of your brother return.
Thank you. And he turns around and is like, not sobbing, but there are a lot of tears.
That'll come
Sometimes
out.
that can happen.
Sorry. That'll gonna come out wet. She's like, that felt really good, you guys.
Good. Now, Baili, I sense your memories have not dissipated.
No,
What?
I don't want you to change a thing.
Nothing I could change.
What did you
What-
give up?
I think we have another mission ahead of us. No,
What?
I don't want to change anything. I'm happy with the deal that I made.
Deal? Thal looks at Elliot, like skeptical.
You made a deal with the woman in the well?
Yes.
That hasn't happened for thousands of years. She must have sent something in you.
Maybe she did. But I did try to give up my memories. She wouldn't take them. Apparently that was already used. So I told her that I would stop the syndicate. And I gave up my sword. I'm fine with that.
Ah, sword. So that's how her story comes into play. She has another part, an entity that is called the Lady of the Lake, who guards a special sword within its waters, and only those who are valiant enough can possess the sword. The sword must have returned to its normal place, looking for its next hero to come find it.
So all the better. And I want to stop those bastards anyway.
The syndicate will fall. But we have much more matters that are pressing. The Dreamlight.
Right.
Learned a little thing in
Of course.
Canonbury
Sure.
that spurred an idea.
Go on.
Where would the pillars be hiding?
Well, Yuna and Oknos destroyed theirs. At least that's what kind of has been told. But the other pillar, Obsidious, is rumored that he still possesses it. Why?
On his person?
I don't know where he would hide it, if not on his person or someone close to him. I would assume it's probably in the Forbidden Mountains.
Or where it all began?
You don't happen to mean the Garden of Roses, do you?
The first civilization.
Eden. That makes a lot of sense, Elowen. Good for you. I can't believe I haven't even thought of that before. Eden was the first civilization in the forest just beyond Canonbury, where the fair resided, and the Everlight Meadow. Brownie points for you, Elowen.
Thank you.
So you're saying the pillar might be there?
Place to look.
Well, if you think of something that your beginning, when we came back to Canonbury Bay, remember that warm, welcoming feeling?
Of course.
That's because that's where our story began. Oknos' story, or I'm sorry, everyone's story, began with early civilization. That would be his welcome home feeling. He wouldn't want it to be in his prison.
How do you sound about becoming one of my apprentices?
Well, that kind of happened actually already.
Yeah, but it means a lot more now.
What do you mean?
When everyone, well, when our first adventure, everyone went home. I didn't. I stayed here
Hmm.
to learn and practice magic. And I didn't get to see, well, Obsidious much, you, but I just thought that because you were busy. So I stayed back and learned, and yeah. Why?
Interesting. Let me see this book. And he casts his fingers. You see magic spark from his hand as a book flies down
You have
to
magic.
well, yeah.
Oh, but
My
it's just
count.
weird that seeing you with magic again. That's all.
Oh. Well, There's a book that I discovered when I was in Canonbury Bay. It talked about the originals and the first kingdom, Eden. Who has time for a story?
I do.
We all do.
All right. Let me see. And he flips open to the first page. And he starts. He says, Once upon a time, perhaps the first once upon a time, there was the story of Yuna and Oknos and how they created the world. The two were in love, and from that magic came the world of Everas. But everyone knows how that happened. Oknos was jealous of Yuna's love for the world they created together, and she imprisoned him into the Never, only to use his heart as the seed for the world's magic. And then he looks up and he says, Well, there's an untold story about how Oknos was misguided, and how behind every great hero, there is a villain who shaped them. When the world was created, there was the first kingdom, Eden. This glorious place existed deep within an enchanted wood. At the center of the wood was the magical flower called the Eternal Rose. This plant sustained the very life force of our world. There were 3 fairies who protected the rose: Dahlia, Fleur, and Helena. They were the most beautiful fae in the entire realm and took the job of protecting the rose with great responsibility. Yuna and Oknos still walked the earth at this time, enjoying the fruits of their world. As day would set, night would come, and the world fell asleep to dream of wondrous places. Then day would arise and the world would wake up, only for the circle to start over once more. But there was a fairy, wicked and evil, who despised the way of the world had ran and was infatuated with power. They were the first being on Everas to do harm, to cause evil, and bring darkness to the world. It wasn't Oknos, but it was Obsidious. While Oknos is the god of darkness, he was originally the god of night, as he was the one who brought night to Everas, while Yuna brought the day. As the future holds for Oknos, his title of Dark God was attributed for the evil that he had caused. Obsidious has always been the root of evil, and it started when he betrayed Oknos and brought the world the first nightmare. Now, who wants to read the next page?
Oh,
Suppose I
Alright.
can.
If you would like.
Once on Oknos' court, Obsidious fell when he betrayed the dark god by telling him about Yuna's obsession over the world that they were created together. Obsidious wanted a world for himself, a realm where he could dwell and have rule over anything and anything that entered it. He was tired of being second to Oknos, and thus a plan to get what he wanted was born. Nightmares started to plague Oknos, showing him visions of Yuna abandoning him and creating a world that was her own. Oknos grew jealous and protective. He wanted to be with Yuna forever, for if he couldn't have her, no one could. Oknos resorted to Obsidious, wanting to create a realm for him and Yuna to last forever. Obsidious told Oknos about the eternal rose that grew in Eden, and if he were to take the rose, he could use its magic to create a realm where time moves differently. Oknos agreed, going after the rose immediately. The fairies in Eden told Oknos that if he messed with the rose, he would be messing with the very life force of Everas, and bad things were to come of it. Oknos did not care, for all he saw was Yuna. Obsidious knew that if Oknos and Yuna were to stay in that realm forever, he would have all of Everas to himself. This world would fall to the nightmare forever.
Anyone want to read the next page?
I will.
But as history shows, this new world, later called the Under, was very different from the real world. It was nonsensical and everyone was mad there. Time flowed as if there were no laws or rules, and worst of all, Oknos took one of the fairies with him and used her to try and take Yuna's heart. Helena did as she was told, but was found out, and Yuna removed her wings, thus sending the fairy into despair, for she was now stuck within the Under. When the two gods returned to Everas, Oknos went after Obsidious, since the plan was foiled so easily. He saw through Obsidious and his desire to have Everas as his own, so he imprisoned him inside a piece of demon glass. Obsidious was trapped forever. Oknos tried to shatter the demon glass, but even a god couldn't destroy it, for demon glass is the most powerful substance in all the worlds. But there was something that he could do. Oknos turned the demon glass into an ordinary mirror and asked Dahlia to hide it somewhere in the world where no one would ever be able to find it. She did so and left the final fairy, Fleur, to protect the rose by herself. Dahlia scoured the world for a hiding spot for the mirror. While inside of the demon glass, Obsidious learned that he could create nightmares for those who fell asleep and influence their fears through its deep and ancient magic. He began to study the mortal world when those who fell asleep wandered too close and looked for ways to break free of his prison and get revenge on Oknos. He started to send his nightmares into Dahlia's dreams, and eventually, she too became corrupted. And then the impossible happened. Obsidious found a way to possess the fairy while she slept, and he could walk Everos once more. Unfortunately, if she woke up, he was shot back to his prison within the demon glass. If only there was a way to make the world fall asleep and never wake up.
Anybody want to read the next page?
I'll do
Okay.
it. A human man by the name of Archer was also taken prisoner within the mirror, though his imprisonment was accidental. Evelyn, who later became the evil queen, used her powers that bonded with the demon to make him her slave in the magic mirror. Archer was terrified of this fate and fell victim to Obsidious's nightmares. He then posed as Evelyn's slave, and since he knew about everyone in the world who slept, he was able to feed Evelyn information about the world. In turn, he started to use her as a way of finally shattering the glass and escaping into the world of Everos. He told her about Oknos and his ability to create curses. He told her how she could get her magic back and, more importantly, her throne back. Evelyn, under the influence of the demon inside of her, followed Obsidious's instructions easily. Eventually, she would get her powers back and summon Oknos to enact his dark curse. In doing so, Obsidious put his own little loophole in the curse. He would be free of what he called the void, and walked amongst the mortals of the real world again. Over the next 3 years, Obsidious observed Everos, gaining more and more power as people started to dream. He learned their fears and woes. He used those against them in their own dream worlds. This is when he created creatures known as the Dreamless to help him infect people's minds. He met a fairy named Maleficent who had the power to curse entire kingdoms into eternal sleep, a power that he wanted from her. She wanted to spread her evil across the realm, and he knew just how to do that. He would tell her in exchange for her sleeping curse, for if the world were asleep, he could control them forever, and Everos would be his once more.
And how about you, Thal? Finish it up.
Okay. Obsidious explained to Maleficent about the Telemann key that would be created to unlock the Vault of Lunas and unleash the ancient darkness that dwelled there. She would need to gather the elemental runes spread across Everos and unite them together to control the darkness. He failed to mention that in doing so, the sheer amount of magic it took to use the key would kill her in the process. Therefore, Obsidious would take over after she was gone, and the world would no longer be Oknos's, but his. Unfortunately, his plans were foiled by Eliot and his band of heroes, who later became the Guardians of Everas. Obsidious saw the power within the Guardian and knew he was his next target. If Obsidious could possess Eliot, then the world would bow to him. The nightmare Fae observed the shadows for over a decade, waiting for the perfect opportunity to strike, and in the meantime, get to know Eliot's fears. And then, just as the fates had predicted, the time for Obsidious to rise approached, and there was nothing going to stop his nightmare.
That last little bit must have just been written. This book calls from the Hall of Stories. Huh.
You got to take the book from the Hall of Stories?
Well, you know, magic.
Yeah, I guess you're kind of special.
But I wouldn't have remembered that book if it wasn't for Elowen. You made me remember about that book that I found.
I'm glad.
It's like getting to know what Obsidious was going to do the whole time. And now we have his motive and means. It sounds like we need to speak to Fleur, protector of the rose.
He probably
Not
is
all
still there.
corrupted?
What?
She's not corrupted, right?
I hope not. But if she's the woman of the wood. Oh my Baili. You have already all met Fleur.
When?
She's the mother.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
No wonder the villagers of Canonbury Bay were terrified to enter the wood, because Fleur, the Fae of the wood, had been turned or corrupted, and therefore she became the mother.
They said they haven't heard from her since we solved the murders. Does that mean she's been saved?
I wonder if so. Everything's been booming in Canonbury Bay since after she was thwarted. That means the Fae's powers are returning to Canonbury.
So is that where we need to go, not to Obsidious?
Fleur, if she guards the Eternal Rose, maybe we could use its magic.
But
Yeah.
wait, not even the gods were supposed to use that magic. We have no right to it.
Then maybe we can convince her. She already has a grudge against Obsidious for what he did to her sisters.
But we won't use it for us.
We'll use it for Everas.
We'll use it for the Pillar of Everas, for it is the power of Everas.
And its roots run deep.
I bet you all the way to the Elder Tree.
Exactly. Exactly. And if we can get that flower to the Elder Tree, maybe the power of the light will finally have a way to put Obsidious to rest, and the Dreamlight doesn't have to be turned off.
The shot. It's better than a 50-50 chance of losing everything.
Backup plan.
The scariest thing is, though, is that we'd be making a deal with the Fae.
If it is what I've read about deals in the books, I know that they can come at great cost. And for Everos, for what she asks of us, I will put solely on my shoulders. It was my idea. No, it was my idea. It's I'm me saying something like that made you remember the book. I'm a keeper. It's my job.
It's also my job to keep you safe. If anything goes
And you
south,
save.
You're more important than us.
that's
Always
not
more
true.
important than us. It is true.
Yes.
You're the
You're the
guardian
guardian.
of Everest.
I
We
don't
are
want to
its
lose anyone
keepers.
else, though.
Who says what you'll want is gonna make you lose me? We have no idea what she would want.
Okay. Okay. Then we'll go to Eden, and we'll find Fleur, and we'll talk to her about the Eternal Rose. But we're gonna need a lot of help.
Evelyn said that too. She said she wasn't even powerful enough to defeat Maleficent. That we needed you.
I'll take care of Maleficent. I'll figure it out.
You don't
She
have
may
to
be
bear this
powerful,
weight alone.
but there's not enough time for us to each individually to conquer these tasks. You guys will have to worry about Chernobog.
Is he near the rose?
Chernobog is the protector of the Forbidden Mountains.
Okay.
What's in the Forbidden Mountains?
Maleficent's castle, and that's where
Okay.
Sapphiria is.
So we
Why
get
is
her
she there?
first.
She's trapped. We'll
Okay.
have to get into the castle, and if Maleficent is there, of course Chernobog is there too, but I guarantee that Sapphiria is trapped there too, along with me and any of our other friends as well.
When we went poof, I'm sure they didn't want any of them going to arms.
Exactly. And there's only a few people that I know who'd be willing to help us.
Okay.
Cinderella, Belle, Ariel, Tiana, Merida, Anna, Elsa, Mulan.
You don't think they're trapped? Do you think they're okay?
We'll find them. I'll find them.
Okay.
So you all will head and find Fleur, and I'll gather up our forces. They know me a little bit more than they know you.
I guess so.
Let's just say I've been in part of all of their stories, even if they didn't know it. You know, being a bluebird and all.
Oh. Right, you could do that.
Although I'm much more of a phoenix at this point. Okay. It's a solid plan. Does anyone have any disagreements?
Now we go find Fleur, talk about moving the flower, see if she would be willing to move it because she is the protector to the elder tree. Right?
Okay. Yes.
And then when do you want us to find you to fight Trinabog?
We'll meet in Anandapur, the base of the Almond Mountains where the Forbidden Mountain is.
Okay. What do we want to tell Fleur when she gets to the elder tree? To make a pillar for Everas?
Well,
Or wait for us?
I'm sure that that rose won't last forever, but it will need to be dipped into the eternal springs.
Okay.
Once it's there, it might be nourished enough to infuse with the elder tree. And if it's infused with the elder tree, we could use it against Obsidious.
Okay. Sounds kind of easy enough.
Well, you
That
always
makes it a
know that.
pillar.
Yes. And then once we have that pillar, it'll be inside the elder tree, and the elder tree will become the pillar. Something everyone knows, and something that is heavily protected, heavily guarded,
I
in the
know.
center of all of our stories. Everas is not without the elder tree, and the best part of it all is that we'll be united Oknos with Yuna at last.
Without
We actually.
Obsidious's corruption over Oknos.
Exactly. And maybe we will truly have the god of night back. And not darkness.
world will be different then. I think, right? I don't know.
And the Abori people will guard the elder tree with their life. I know. There's a whole section of them that do so.
Of course. Of course. And then once we get that, we take care of the syndicate. After we're all charged up on good juju, as Mom Odie would say, they'll stand not a chance against us. And then maybe there'll be a wedding at the end of this all that we can celebrate. Not mine, but Baili
Say
and Yuna.
yours? Okay. What are you
We
gonna do about
invited,
that?
Bailey, right?
Go ahead.
No, absolutely.
What? You didn't invite us to your wedding?
Of course. You guys are my
Oh,
You guys are the only family I have, and the only ones I want.
Who's going to
oh.
officiate it?
Haven't decided yet.
Well, that's a very important job.
I might have some ideas.
Okay. Well, tonight we rest. We'll start tomorrow. Your
Does-
rooms are here if you need them. Yes?
Oh. I was gonna say just you don't do anything stupid and rash or stubborn and
I've
think through
learned my
things.
lesson. Yes.
Okay. That was more Sapph saying that than Thal.
We'll get her back. I need her at my side.
Evelyn said that she wasn't okay. That nobody in there was okay. Do you believe
She's-
that too?
She's been through worse. I know she'll come out on top. She always will. She always does. But not unless she has her friends with her. All right.
And-
Yeah?
And where is Evelyn? Have you spoken to her?
No. She's not coming up on my star map.
Right, okay.
Al, you have a special connection with her. Maybe you should reach out to her.
She looks at Eliot. Like, will that work, you think?
Worth a shot. If you go over into the room where her mirror was, it might be the best way to contact.
She scripts away. She's like, okay.
Does anyone have else anything before we turn in for the evening?
Were you serious about that apprenticeship?
I'm always serious.
Once this is all done, I accept.
Perfect. I can already hear it now. Head Enchantress. Elowen of the Abori people. We'll work on the title. I'm kind of bad at those. Sapphiria is much better. Listen, her
Oh.
original title was like a page and a half long because she had so much that she was taking care of. And maybe you all can have a part on the Magisterium. I'd like to have you by my side. Maybe Baili can be the head espionage S, finder of secrets, stealer of souls, and leather corsets.
We'll
Very
see.
fitting.
I've actually already been offered a position as head huntress.
Oh, really?
I have, in fact.
Well, that's exciting.
We'll see how it plays out.
And Lucan can be the head of boulder smashing and muscles.
With a side of
That's
teddy
okay.
bears.
And also in charge of Evarian stuffed animals.
Yes.
Well, maybe Honey will be in charge of that. I take your
Dead.
silence as an acceptance, possibly. Then Thal could always use some relations with people from under the sea. We don't have one of those on my court.
That's unfortunate.
It is.
Could start good relationship in trading.
And maybe the mermaids can actually return to their original waters and not have to stay in hiding so much.
Pirates.
Yeah, we'll outlaw and curse them or something.
That worked
So
real
what's-
well for Jack.
Jack was kind of nice. I mean, he was still a pirate, but he did get us places.
Not all pirates are bad. Jack's one of the good ones. His head's not always in the right place, but
Because he drinks a lot of rum.
that can't happen.
I think Sapphiria gave him that rum.
Probably.
Probably did.
All right. Well, we've had all a long day. Time to get some rest.
You too.
Of course. And tomorrow, our adventure begins.
Yeah.
Again. And we'll end tonight's episode right here. I feel like it's a very good, fitting
Mhm.
spot.
Both episode.
So,